boys and girls. My name's Quinn the Questioner. Join me here each week with my box of clues while we travel back in time and learn about God and the Bible. What's going on? Why do you look like you're thinking about something? She's thinking about something.
I'm very conflicted.
Conflicted? That's a big word. Maybe there's a clue in here for what conflicted means. Conflicted means zucchini?
Oh, that's the food that Daniel wants to eat.
Zucchini?
He wants to eat different food than what the king is asking him to eat.
He wants to eat zucchini and tomatoes?
He and his men, they're not allowed to eat what the king is serving him. And he's asked me to go to the king and ask for special permission for he and his men to eat different food. And I'm really worried because,
You're conflicted.
Yes, very
Now
conflicted.
I know what conflicted means.
Jehoiakim had been king of Judah for only 3 years when the king of Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar, attacked Jerusalem. King Nebuchadnezzar conquered the holy city and took many sacred objects from the temple and took them home with him to add to the treasures kept in the house of the king's false god. In addition to the sacred treasures, the conquering army took many prisoners along with them when they left Jerusalem. King Nebuchadnezzar commanded his chief of staff to bring into his palace young captives who could serve in his court. These young men needed to be strong, healthy, good-looking, and well-educated. To show his favor to these young men and to keep them well-fed, the king ordered that they receive food and wine each day that was prepared in his royal kitchens. Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah were 4 of the young men chosen, all of whom were from the tribe of Judah. The chief of staff renamed them with Babylonian names. Daniel was called Belteshazzar, Hananiah was called Shadrach, Mishael was called Meshach, and Azariah was called Abednego. Even though Daniel was selected to serve King Nebuchadnezzar, he wouldn't eat the food from the king's kitchens because it was forbidden by God. To refuse the king's goodwill was a bold and potentially dangerous move for Daniel, but the chief of staff liked him. While he was willing to let Daniel eat different food, he worried that this diet would cause Daniel to become unhealthy. He said to Daniel, "The king will kill me if you get weak and sick." Daniel spoke with the attendant who had been appointed by the chief of staff to look after Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. "Please test us for 10 days on a diet of vegetables and water," Daniel said. "At the end of the 10 days, see how we look compared to the other young men who are eating the king's food. Then make your decision in light of what you see." The attendant agreed to Daniel's suggestion and tested them for 10 days. At the end of the 10 days, Daniel and his 3 friends looked healthier and stronger than the other young men who had been eating the king's food. After this, the attendant fed the 4 young men only vegetables and water. Because the young men's decision honored God's law, the Lord blessed them with wisdom and understanding. Daniel was given the special ability to interpret dreams. When the training period ordered by the king was completed, the chief of staff brought all the young men to King Nebuchadnezzar. No one impressed the king as much as Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, so they were brought into the royal service. Whenever the king consulted them in any matter requiring wisdom and balanced judgment, he found them 10 times more capable than any of the magicians and enchanters in his entire kingdom.
Well, I am so glad that the king decided to let Daniel eat the food that only God allowed him to eat, because it's very important to obey God's commands, even when it goes against what everybody else wants us to do.
And the food is so good and healthy for you. Here, hold your hands. Ready? Here's some more. Oh, here's some more. Here's some more.
Can't hold it all.
Hi, boys and girls. You just finished listening to a lesson about Daniel's captivity. Now we are going to do a little art and craft based on this lesson. So before we get started, you'll need just a few supplies, which I have laid out here. You're going to need a paper plate, scissors, a glue stick, or regular glue is fine, some crayons, and then finally you're going to need to find some vegetables that you can print out or cut out. So as you can see here, I found some vegetables just doing a Google search, and I printed them out from the internet. So you can do that, or if your parents have some old magazines laying around that you want to look through and cut out vegetables that you find in there, that would work as well. So again, a paper plate, scissors, glue stick, crayons, and some pictures of vegetables. And I have with me today my assistant Reese, who's going to help us walk through this arts and craft. So for the first step in this arts and craft, we're going to take our paper plate and scissors and a pencil if you'd like. As you can see, Reese made an outline of where we're going to cut a hole out in the middle of the paper plate in order to make the paper plate look like a basket. So here is how she drew the outline of where she's going to cut it out, which she is doing now. Okay, so as you can see, here is what is going to be our basket. Once you have the basket, you're going to go ahead and take probably a brown crayon and go ahead and start coloring the basket, as Reese is doing now. Once you're done coloring it brown, the finished product should look something like this. So now you're going to go ahead and take those vegetables that you had before we started, and Reese, as you can see, is going to color them and get them all colored in, and when she's done, she's going to cut them out so they should all look like this in the end. Or again, if you printed them out from a magazine, that is fine too, but go ahead and cut them out so that they're all individually colored. Yes, thank you. The final step is going to be gluing all of your vegetables onto the basket. And here is the final product. I hope you all had fun making your basket of vegetables, and thanks for watching. Have a great day.
That was another great lesson. Don't forget to join in next week and see where we travel to.